because I just realized my laptop's at 10%.
True. We are live.
Not ideal. Not ideal. Any buttercups in the stream?
This is how we like to start off live streams. Me drinking water, Danny moving his laptop around. Just the elite introductions that we like.
Speaking of drinking, let me get a little drink if it.
Yeah, I've been drinking all weekend with Christmas, so I'll probably chill.
I got a nice little can of wine. I'm gonna pop. Give me a second. You got me.
All right. Figs, first one in here. I'm muting you, Danny, while you're doing that, just for the record.
Yes.
All right. Figs, first one in here. Down 24. I need 25 to win, and I only have Tua. Do you guys think there's a chance Tua goes off against the Saints D or nah? Also, not having Kelsey this week is tough. So could Tua go off for 25 points? He absolutely could. I think the matchup is kind of set up for him to do that just because his best weapon is Jalen Waddle and Mike Gesicki being his second best weapon. They're going to avoid Marshawn Lattimore in this game with those two guys. So it is definitely possible that Tua has a big game this week. 25 is a lot to ask out of Tua because he's not, a high ceiling option typically. But, if he has 3 touchdowns, 300 yards or whatever, maybe he rushes a touchdown in, you could definitely get there for sure. Brian says, how we feeling about Kamara today? I think Kamara should do well. The Dolphins defense is pretty solid against the run, but they actually are kind of giving it up to pass catching running backs, which is interesting. So Kamara definitely fits the bill of a pass catching running back. And also we don't really know how Ian Book is going to, play in terms of, is he going to throw the ball to the running backs? Is he going to play more like Taysom Hill? Like, how are they going to use him? So I'm thinking, you got a young quarterback. He's going to rely on his best playmaker, and that's Alvin Kamara, whether they run the ball a lot or they actually throw him some passes, which we haven't seen as much of with Taysom Hill. What's up, boys? Great week. My most owned dynasty quarterback is Burrow, and wide receiver is Higgins, to be honest. Feeling great right now. Yeah, I feel that. T. Higgins did the Lord's work this week. Zach says, sup, fellas, 2 teams on brink, up 28, Gaskin in 1. Okay, so you're up 28 against Gaskin in 1. Okay, so yeah, I think you should be okay there. I highly doubt Gaskin gets 28 points or 29 points in this game for the other guys, so I'd say you're probably pretty comfortable there. Need Waddle to score more than 14 half PPR. Probably going to need a touchdown for that, but I think you could definitely get there. Devontae Parker, 15 points PPR. In a PPR league, it definitely makes it a little easier. But 15's a lot for Parker, especially given that he's an outside receiver. He'll probably see a decent amount of Lattimore in coverage, but it's definitely possible there, Caden. Zach, also in his other league, he says Waddle and a 6.5 point lead versus Duke Johnson PPR. I think he should be good there as well. Burrow over Herbert. Better real life quarterback. I think, again, you could probably make the discussion, but I think fantasy wise, dynasty QB or whatever, I'd still take Herbert over Burrow as good as Burrow is playing. Up 31 to Flett in the listener league. How am I looking? Actually got to check your matchup there, Wyatt. I don't actually know where you guys stand.
That wow, my voice just cracked. That bottle of wine refused to open because my bottle opener is a complete piece of shit. So I'm going to have to figure that out after. Sorry about that.
You're making me want to have a beer, Danny.
Dude, I wanted a glass of wine.
All right, I'm cracking a beer. Fuck it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I might go get my beers in my fridge because apparently the wine doesn't want to fucking open. I'll get a couple questions off first. 31 to Flett, full PPR, Kamara. It's going to be close. I'll probably give you 75, 80% chance.
Who does he have playing?
Nobody.
It's just Kamara, right?
Yeah. Full PPR with the big play bonuses. So I'll probably give him 75%.
I think it's probably 85. 31 points is a ceiling performance.
It's Kamara though, baby. I'll never rule him out. Justin Jackson went out. Yeah, he was RB1 this week. And there were still people on Twitter that think that 0 RB's dead.
Yeah, dude, I'm so glad I started him. I nearly didn't start him in favor of DeAndre Swift. If DeAndre Swift had played, I wouldn't have started Jackson.
Yeah.
Realistically, so that's pretty wild.
Yeah, Chiefs were up like 23. Yeah,
Tyreek, again, I'm not really worried about Tyreek. They just, if you made it past with Tyreek on your team, he's just going to be, he's going to be just fine. I would say that they were just kind of killing them. There's no, like, COVID seems to like interrupt a lot of like game plans, right? Like you got to imagine he wasn't practicing all week. He didn't really know the team's game plan very much. He's a veteran receiver, so it shouldn't really matter as much. But we have kind of seen like, last week against the Jets, Myles Gaskin was like the RB3 on the team in terms of like snaps or whatever. So I think that there is maybe something to like, if a guy is going to miss the entire week on the COVID list, maybe he's not going to be heavily involved in the game plan on Sunday.
Yep. Ty Montgomery scored 35 for me. I lost because CMC, Eckler, and Swift were out. I mean, it would have to be like a 5-point per carry.
The only player in this game capable of scoring 35 is Alvin Kamara, and maybe Jalen Waddle in a full PPR.
Maybe Gesicki in a tight end premium.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I still probably wouldn't say that. Maybe at a 2-point per reception tight end premium.
For real. Also, once Eckler went out, my opponent picked up Justin Jackson before me. Yeah, I mean, he fair play to him. He kind of, went the cuck route, but he did, in fact, cuck you on that.
Yeah, he definitely got you.
Definitely got you good. Our team's looking going to the championship game. Yeah, I got 2 in the championship. It could have been more, but it was pretty
Injuries.
annoying. Yeah, like the one team, I'm 12-2 Dynasty League. Half my team was out, including Lamar, Eckler, Evans, fucking Darren Waller, like fucking obliterated. And I lost by fucking like 12 points. And
yeah,
I also have Taylor, who had a down game. If Taylor has his normal game, I still make it through and make it to the championship. But 12-2, fucking shit happens. I saw a team on Twitter that went like 5-9 and made the chip. It's like
that was Nick's script, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can't predict what the fuck's going on this year because of COVID, because of all these random injuries to top players.
Well, I'm going to the championship in our listener dynasty league, and I went 7-7 in the regular season. So,
and again, like I still firmly believe, like, especially in dynasty, you stick to what you know in terms of your trajectory, because this year is not the 1 year sample size we can really credit, because I swear to God, half the top players in the league were out at some point in these last few weeks. It's insane.
Yeah. As far as my teams, I got 2 of them going to the championship, including the one for the trophy behind me. So I get to defend my championship proudly in the finals next week. And then I'm also going to the finals in our listener dynasty league. And if I get 10.4 points or more in a PPR league with big play bonuses and 100-yard bonuses and stuff. So it's a pretty, easy feat to do for Alvin Kamara. If I get 10.4 points or more out of him tonight, I'm going to the championship in 3 out of the 3 teams that I made the playoffs in, which is definitely nice.
Yep. We actually got a quick comment. What's up, Spicy Hot? Again, if you guys want your comments skipped forward in the line, make sure you go become a member like Spicy Hot over here. So either way, you got where we left off.
Yep. Started Robinson in my flex. Yeah, dude, that fucking sucks. For multiple, like, sucks for James Robinson because he's an undrafted free agent. He doesn't make a whole lot of money. He was looking for, a good season this year and probably another good season next year. Go get a big payday either with the Jags or in free agency or something, because like realistically, this guy doesn't really make any money compared to other NFL players. And now he's going to be coming off of a serious injury towards the back half of next season, probably. And maybe he pulls a Cam Akers and he comes back, 5 months from now. But we have to assume realistic timelines for the most part until we see otherwise. So I'm assuming he's probably going to be out until midway through the next season.
Cam Akers is just a freak of nature. Like how do you tear your Achilles and are in line to play that season?
Yeah, he literally might play next week, apparently.
That makes no fucking sense at all.
Yeah, I have no idea. Maybe he's just got wolf's blood or something. I have no idea.
Real, but he's drinking the Saquon juice. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, Saquon's looking human. So.
I mean, like last year, remember a couple of years ago, he sprained his ankle and he was back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
What happened?
Ankle sprain. Yeah.
It's literally like a 6-week recovery. He's back in 2 weeks. Like, okay, like what are we doing here? Like,
yeah. Well, now his ankle's torched, so maybe that's what happened. With Mike Williams out again for week 17, yeah, that's actually brutal. I hate that Mike Williams is out. I need him. Well, I guess I technically haven't made the championship yet, so I don't want to jinx myself. But if I do get those 10 points out of Alvin Kamara, then I need Mike Williams next week, and I won't have him, obviously. And I also have Herbert, too, so it affects him as well. But, I hopefully fire up Palmer again. I mean, it depends what your other options are, but I would say that he's an okay, like, flex start, flex appeal, whatever.
But you're not feeling the Von rent, eh?
No, I don't know if that's like spam or whatever. But,
It's definitely a bot.
Wyatt says he has Kamara left. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm unfortunately for you, Wyatt, I'm rooting for Kamara this week. So I need Kamara to have a big game as well.
Okay, yeah. All right, settle down, big boy down there.
Class. I see you.
Probably hear him through my stream.
Oh, really? Josh Palmer, sneaky dynasty asset, I'm guessing you mean? Yeah, I think Josh Palmer, I don't know if he's sneaky anymore now because people have kind of seen him perform, but yeah, he's definitely a guy that was in my sleepers coming into the season as a guy that with Mike Williams hitting free agency, Keenan Allen's, an older guy, 3rd round draft capital. I mean, he didn't have the greatest prospect profile as far as like production's concerned, but Tennessee's offense in college had like 2,000 passing yards or something. Like it was brutal.
And I will say too, again, the main people that bought him in Dynasty, again, you're probably spending a mid-3rd, late 3rd round type of pick.
I wouldn't be willing to give up a 3rd round pick though, to be honest, for him. I think I would probably, like, unless it's like an early 3rd, I'd probably be willing to sell Josh Palmer for anything more than like an early 3rd. If you could somehow get a 2nd rounder, obviously, like get that.
Easily, but no, but I'm saying, like, again, a lot of people probably invested like a mid to late 3rd in him this past year.
I saw him go in the 4th, and for the most part, I got him at the 403, I think, in one of my leagues.
The main allure of that was obviously people weren't really focused in the intermediate 2021 season. People are looking at the fact that Mike Williams is a free agent, that outside X wide receiver position for the Chargers was going to be vacated. So, and credit to Josh Palmer, at least he's looked decent when he's gotten the opportunity. Again, he's not the type of receiver I would hedge a bet on because of the bad production profile coming in out of college and his bad rookie season comparatively, statistically. But I mean, like, yeah, if you invested a late 3rd, early 4th into him, I mean, he's worth holding at this point, just to kind of see what you got.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily buying him though. I think his perceived value might be a little high right now, depending on who has him. I don't know. We'll see.
I will say though, for apparently, Amon-Ra St. Brown is a fringe top 30 valued receiver on Keep Trade Cut.
Yeah, I'm selling him at that price easily.
Like I saw, I think it was Jacob Sanderson that tweeted it out. It's like Amon-Ra St. Brown's value is like comparative to like Chase Claypool now.
Yeah, that's what. If I can get anywhere, like, because to me, I see Chase Claypool as like a late 1st round rookie pick at minimum. I would say, like, maybe you could even make the argument he's like 6 to 8, pick 6 to 8 type of value. But yeah, if you can get anywhere close to like a mid to high end 2nd round pick for Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe even more, then I'm easily selling him at that price. There's nothing against Amon-Ra. I actually really liked him coming into the league. He's just not a super high ceiling fantasy option.
He's not a safe asset. I mean,
he's not a safe asset. He was, a low draft capital. He's talented. He's going to be, stick around in the NFL for a decent amount of time. And he's going to, be on your roster and probably make some contributions here and there. But this is never a guy that's going to be, consistently a wide receiver 2 at least or more in fantasy.
I'll post this right now. If you could right now be able to sell Tyler Boyd for fringe top 30 wide receiver value, you're doing it instantly. And quite frankly, I think the outlook for an Amon-Ra
the ceiling projection is a Tyler Boyd type of production where you get, well, I mean, what Tyler Boyd was like wide receiver 19 in points per game the one year, and like that was like his best year or whatever. Like that's a good, a good season out of somebody like that. But they're gonna bring in QB and wide receiver, additions that it's gonna shake that whole situation up.
I fully agree, but either way, let's catch up on some comments.
6 of 8 teams playing for championship next week. Wow. So far, excellent year. Yeah, you love to see that. You know something about Lamar? Nothing yet. You just got to keep following reports throughout the week.
Yep.
And Luke, is this your cousin?
Yeah, he's downstairs.
CD goat, true.
Yeah.
Finally picked up a kicker. LOL. And Boswell got me 3. I mean, it's better than the 0 that you've been taking all season.
He was just rolling without a kicker all year just to set the tone on his league mates, and he finally caved in, Let's
go. I made it to the finals. Dak Prescott helped me a lot, unlike Tyreek Hill and Chargers. Dude, the Chargers defense sold hard, man. Holy shit.
Bush, he was at the game last night, remember?
What?
Remember, Gordo was at the game last night.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, remember he was saying it in the chat.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so if you weren't cheering for the Cowboys,
I mean, he said his family's Cowboys fans, right?
But I think he said he was cheering for the football team. I think he was like going against his family. So, yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, he could end up there. We'll see.
Yeah.
106. Yeah, that's freaking nuts.
Yeah, if you guys, again, I preach this, going into the playoffs. It's very, very important right now. If you do not have, if you have a guy on your team, that next week is the championship. If you are not starting him next week, then he doesn't need to be on your roster. Go out and pick up a backup running back just in case, right? Like we saw what happened with Justin Jackson. Austin Eckler's on the COVID list. Suddenly Justin Jackson's top 3 running back on the week, RB1 overall on the week.
With David Johnson being on the
exactly, COVID. Yeah. So if Khalil Herbert's on the waiver wire, like if David Montgomery gets COVID or is placed on the COVID list, like Khalil Herbert's going to be a great play. So somebody like that's on your waiver wire right now, go pick them up if you are holding, a Marvin Jones on your roster that you're not going to start next week, but you're holding for depth or whatever. If you don't immediately need their depth for your team, go pick up a backup running back or something because they will, they're helping me win my championship basically right now because I started Sony Michel and Justin Jackson this week, and I had Rashad Penny on my bench who I didn't even start. So if you have that kind of running back depth right now, like you're going to be set up for a lot of success.
Oddly enough, again, all the people that were flaming 0 RB, well, guess what? The majority of championship rosters, in terms of their depth, are going to have multiple players picked in the 8th, 9th, 10th round, picked off the waiver wire, picked late in the year. These handcuffs, like the freaking Justin Jackson and Rex Burkhead were your top 2 running backs this week. What is that?
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago it was Duke Johnson and whoever else. I don't even remember who was the other elite running backs 2 weeks ago, but Duke Johnson was the RB1 on the week last week.
Penny this week, like there's a ton. I mean, Jeff Wilson past couple weeks too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that's exactly why people do talk about 0 RB all the time. It's because it is pretty like, again, if maybe they're not your starting running backs, maybe you're like me and you have like an Antonio Gibson, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams running back core. They still add very, very good depth to your team. And if you have a lot of flex spots like my league does, then it's really good for that as well. The waiver wire saved my week. Yeah, that definitely, I'm sure it did. If you picked up Justin Jackson or whatever. Guarantee Cooper Kupp is going to be a one-season wonder. He's a good wide receiver, even though he's going to break records the next 2 games. I don't think it's outrageous to say something like that. I do think wide receiver production in terms of like who's the wide receiver 1 year over year and even like the top 5 wide receivers, it has been relatively interchangeable. So if you can see the outlook, and I'm going to go over this again because I went over it last year as well. And, what makes the like league winning wide receiver, if you can make an argument for these, wide receiver 6 through 10 of ADP or whatever, and you want to pass up a Cooper Kupp in like the mid first round, early first round, wherever he ends up going, and you want to take, a bell cow running back or something like that, and, go and maybe you don't see a big difference between Cooper Kupp and, Jamar Chase or whoever is going wide receiver 6 to 10 in ADP, then I do think that's a viable strategy because you're right. It's usually hard to be an elite wide receiver year over year. Like look what happened to Michael Thomas.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was injury related in my opinion, but
even last year before, like in the games that he played, then he was healthy. He still wasn't like the greatest.
I mean, the quarterback situation was just such a mess too.
Right. But like, again, even if nothing changes, like it's still Stafford, it's still Kupp. These defensive coordinators have all season to try and scheme the receiver out of game plans and stuff, right?
The thing I'll say about Kupp, again, like it's not a 1-for-1 comparison because they're different players in terms of like their overall strengths and weaknesses. In terms of thriving against zone 2 coverage, in terms of being able to get yards after the catch, obviously Kupp is a much more prominent touchdown scorer, but like this is like a Wes Welker type of situation where he's consistently going to get the volume. We know that Cooper Kupp is heavily relied upon by Matthew Stafford. I mean, this is a guy who, if he doesn't get 10 targets in the game, you're going to be upset, quite frankly.
I don't even know if it's happened this year.
I mean, literally, I think his lowest.
I think he has 1 game of less than 10. I think he has a 9-target game. 1.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting that. You're getting obviously a great player after the catch. You're getting a player that has been and shown to be a prominent touchdown scorer and one of the best offenses in the league. And you're getting the fact that a lot of offenses we can't trust week to week in terms of maintaining production. One offense I can trust for the most part is going to be one run by Sean McVay.
Right. And no offense has been good every single week. The Rams have had a couple of duds, but like, they've had 2 or 3. Like they haven't been, very inconsistent.
And even in those duds, you're looking at a Cooper Kupp floor game of 7 for 65. I don't even know if he's been that bad this year.
He had like 1 game against Arizona back in week 4 where he was like, not that great for your fantasy lineup, but like his floor was last week. It was a perfect example of a floor game out of him where he still eclipsed 100 yards and had like 8 catches or whatever. So yeah, Cooper Kupp again, could see him being a 1-year wonder, but
I don't see
I'm still going to trust in, what I saw this year and what I think his outlook's going to be next year. That's the key, right? We don't want to just copy and paste last year's production into next year and assume Cooper Kupp is going to do the same thing over and over again. But if we can realistically say, hey, nothing changed, it's still Stafford, it's still Cooper Kupp, it's still, whoever is their secondary wide receiver, Woods comes back or whatever the case is, then it's going to be hard for me to not take Cooper Kupp as a top 3, receiver, top 5 receiver at minimum next year.
Yeah, and again, I know we're kind of going on a tangent here, but like if you're picking in that mid first and you're like I don't know about Cooper Kupp, I don't know necessarily if he's like a talent comparatively to like a Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson type. Okay, I think like again, Devontae Adams, like you might argue off of that because assuming Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone, but like if you would rather Justin Jefferson, I wouldn't argue against you there because we were talking about a 22-year-old wide receiver that has 2,900 yards in his first 2 years.
Yeah, he's dumb, man. Like the year 3 wide receiver breakout that we normally see people actually break out, we could see Jefferson go nuclear because he's already broken out.
Like if you were to tell me right now that Jefferson next year ended up having like an Antonio,
a 1,900 yards, 17 touchdown season, like he's capable of doing something like that. Like it's possible.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely is interesting. Again, I feel like we kind of know the blueprint for the top running backs now. We need guys who are going to score touchdowns. We need guys who are going to catch passes. We basically already decided that, like Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey. We know those are going to be the top dogs, unless you're an elite athlete at the position, like a Jonathan Taylor, who can bust out 60, 70-yard runs and is still comparable in terms of being a potent pass catcher. So we know the blueprint right now for what makes top running backs. Obviously, you're going to go out over that more in the offseason in terms of the actual physical criteria from an analytical basis. But I still feel like, again, if you're not meeting that blueprint at the running back position, just take these wide receivers because they're, again, are going to be bountiful options in those first 3 rounds, those mid rounds. Just keep stocking up because, again, you're always going to get these volume, older veteran running backs that you can get later on, like James Connors, Leonard Fournette. They're always going to be available to you late in drafts. People want to argue against elite wide receiver upside because you can get them throughout your mid rounds. Why don't you just take them in your early and mid rounds?
But like, imagine getting them throughout your mid rounds as your wide receiver 3 on your roster. Like there was legitimately people that would have taken, let's say they went Jonathan Taylor in the first round. Like they believed in the elite ceiling of Jonathan Taylor and they take a Stephon Diggs in the second round, turn around in round 3, take another elite wide receiver like Keenan Allen, and they turn around in round 4 and get Cooper Kupp. And he's their wide receiver 3 in their draft, but he's now their wide receiver 1 in terms of his production. But like that's why people argue in favor of those, taking receivers in that area of the draft, because you can't get a running back capable of finishing as their RB1 overall by a wide margin like Cooper Kupp has done so far this year in round 4. Like it just won't happen. If somebody has that type of ceiling, they'll go in round 1.
And that's why, again, like I personally, like as much as I believe in fragility at the running back position, I still prefer, like as my main strategy, is going with this hero RB build. Reason being, you take your one running back that you feel can ascend, like a Jonathan Taylor, like an Austin Eckler. Hopefully, again, maybe Gibson can turn into that guy next year. Who knows, with an improved offense? Who knows? But taking that one guy that you believe in and then stacking up on your wide receivers and worrying about the fragility of running back later in your draft is going to be the most optimal spot for you, because again, you get your Jonathan Taylor, and as you mentioned, Diggs, Kupp, Keenan Allen. I mean, you haven't even thrown like Mike Evans into there. Mike Evans was having a phenomenal year. Chris Godwin. Like there are so many options in those mid rounds that you can not only get as flex pieces to you while people are trying to catch up on their wide receiver 1 and 2. You're already strengthening out your overall roster without worrying about those replacements.
And all you have to do realistically is follow the news closely and keep up with, running back trends and usage and stuff. And you can get ahead of the curve, find yourself an RB2 for, a 4-week stretch. Maybe that guy gets injured. Then you find out yourself another RB2 on the waiver wire. And that's, again, why people like the strategy. Anyway, we want a huge tangent there. Let's answer some questions.
Sneaky,
we already talked about that. So Reese says, good evening, up 55 in one full PPR dyno. My opponent has Kamara, so you're fine. I know Kamara dropped more than that last year, but I doubt he does that again. Are we running back the FSE League of Ladsters redraft league? Absolutely, yeah. I'm not sure. Again, we're not sure how that's gonna go. Maybe it's like a Patreon thing, and we'll do like a drawing or something like that next year, because we're kind of transitioning our draft guide into a Patreon, so it's a lot easier for us. So that is probably how people will get into listener leagues with us, and we will probably also be doing another dynasty startup just because we're degenerates and we want to do one. Maybe we'll do it as a best ball or something. I don't know, but either way, yeah, that'll probably be how you get into that, and we'd love to have you in there, Reese.
Yep, no, I fully agree.
Zach is down by 30. He has Waddle. I got Kamara. I need a huge game, 45 plus. Yeah, you're gonna need a big game for sure.
Is Kelsey still worth a first round pick or second pick next year? Which wide receiver will be picked in the first next year? I think it's Adams, Hill, Kupp, Jefferson, AJ Brown, Debo, Waddle, Johnson, and Lamb. Okay. I think Kelsey, I personally can't take him in the first round right now, but like I think he's a locked and loaded mid to early second
I think he'll
round.
probably go around where Waller and Kittle were going this year.
Maybe a little bit early too, because I do think he's got that body of work. But yeah,
I don't know. He's going to be hard for me to trust, to be honest.
I wouldn't take him the first, though. In terms of the second question, which wide receiver is going to pick in the first? I think that list, again, pending what happens with Aaron Rodgers, pending what happens with Devontae Adams, I don't necessarily where he's going to end up. Adams, Hill,
those
Kupp,
first
Jefferson
four for sure probably seem like first round picks to me.
Are going to be your first rounders. And
maybe throw Jamar Chase into that conversation as well, into a first rounder. But I think that's probably the end of the list in terms of first round receivers for me. I don't think there's going to be many more than like 3 to 5. I don't think we're going to get a year just because all the running backs got injured. Like I've seen people float out the idea. It's like, are 3 or more running backs even going to go in the first round next year? It's like, come on, guys. Like it's fantasy. People are going to take running backs high. Yep. So I'd imagine that Adams, assuming he's with Rodgers, Hill, Kupp, and Jefferson are probably the guys that go in the first round.
I agree. Those are probably the locked and loaded 4. And then you can get into the second to fourth round area where you're floating back with, Lamb, AJ Brown, Debo Samuel's earned his way into there. I think Deontay Johnson's probably earned his way into the
Jamar Chase, obviously.
Chase easily, yes.
I mean, Mike Evans is going to be a third round ADP pick again, and fucking idiot analysts are going to talk about how he's too boomer bust to take that high, just like they do for the last 6 years.
Touchdown reliant, man. 2 touchdown reliant. I wouldn't necessarily put Waddle
the same.
I wouldn't necessarily put Waddle into that group, though. I think, again.
Yeah, I think Waddle will probably settle himself into like where Godwin and Kupp were going this year, kind of like that fourth round range. Along with guys like T. Higgins and, whoever else, Devontae Smith maybe like fits his way in there. Someone like that. Elijah Moore might not even go that high if I had to guess.
I don't think there's any way T. Higgins makes it out of like the early third round.
I don't know, man. People might still take him out. People still might talk themselves out of T. Higgins. I could still see them doing it.
I think I get like in sharper leagues for the most part. But
should I pick up Elijah Mitchell off waivers? Just worried if he doesn't play. Yeah, I would pick him up. I like there's. Again, if he's on the field, we've seen that they have not eased him back in. Anytime he's out there, he gets a full workload. So I'd imagine if he plays, then he's going to be out there. So if Elijah Mitchell is on your waiver wire and you have a piece that you don't need to start this week or whatever, then I would drop them for Elijah Mitchell.
Dolphins or Saints defense. I got Kamara, need 25 points. Give me the Dolphins defense against Ian Book rather than the Saints defense.
Yeah, I think they're both like good plays, actually. I have both of them actually in my DFS lineup this week. I played a double defense lineup because the over-under on this game is like 37 points. And I just don't think there's going to be a whole lot of points. But yeah, give me the Dolphins defense against, a quarterback that wasn't even good in college.
Yeah, no, literally.
Should I play Swift over Zeke? Again, it's all going to depend on Swift's practicing. If he's like full practice at any point during this week, then yeah, I probably would. But if this guy's like limited in any way coming into the game, then I'm okay going Zeke over him, but I'd probably play Swift against the Seahawks. Just a really, really easy matchup for him.
Oh, for sure. Again, maybe I am biased, but I do think that the Cowboys offense took the corner. So, I mean, worst case scenario.
Who do you guys play this week?
We play the Cardinals.
Right. Okay. I mean, they've been pretty solid against the run. They just shut Jonathan Taylor down too. So, yeah, I think Swift, if he's healthy and he's on the field and he's not limited in any way, I would take him. His matchup is just way easier. Jared Goff should be back for this game too. I think he already got taken off of COVID list today. So I think Swift was probably just in line for a great workload. We kind of saw already too, this Craig Reynolds thing, this, Jamal Williams thing, like they need their bell cow back. Like once he's out there, he's getting all the work.
And again, like if you were to tell me next week that Zeke had a 3 touchdown type of game and the Cowboys offense rolled, I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think that in terms of the range of outcomes, like Swift's going to get more overall usage because Zeke has been banged up. Pollard has been getting more usage. And quite frankly, I'm just going to trust that. So I do agree. I mean, heck, we saw Craig Reynolds have a game worth, 27 opportunities?
Yeah. Swift before he got injured was consistently like a 75% snap share running back getting, 20 plus opportunities minimum per game. And he had like one game this year with less than 6 targets. Like this guy is just so involved as a receiver. It's hard to fade him. And this week he would have had one last week too. He actually has a team that's at his team's capability where they can stay in the game.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Love your channel, guys. I appreciate that. Book season. Oh yeah.
Bryson's a Saints fan. Have fun with that.
Had Dalvin, Lamar, Kelsey, and Hill, and Hopkins. And so yeah, that's pain. That's pain there with all those guys out. Made a bet with my family that if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, I'm going to be a Cowboys fan. Yeah, man, you better get your jersey right now because I'm going to wish it into existence just like Bush did last year.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
I didn't do anything of such.
You wish it into existence, brother.
Once we beat the Saints, I said we ain't losing again. But once we were in the playoffs, I was like, we'll see what happens first year with Tom Brady. I would have been happy with like a playoff win or two, and we got bounced. And then this year was our like contending year.
Championship round because of you guys. Thanks to you. Worried about my point though. He's Kittle. Yeah, again, glad we were able to help, and good luck overcoming Kittle. Rose made this ship. Next week I'll be in the dilemma for sure. My running backs are Javonte, Eckler, Swift, Mitchell, Penny, and Rojo. Who would y'all start? So I assume Eckler to be back. Again, like he has a bunch of time to be able to test negative twice. So I do think he's going to be back. All things pointed, if all these guys are healthy, the two that I would start, assuming you have to start two, would be Eckler and Swift. But you're like, I would want to know the health and the status of all these guys because.
And Javonte too, like he didn't have a great game obviously last week, but like the Broncos ran like 39 offensive plays. Like realistically, like that's not going to happen again. Like that is an extremely, extremely low number. Most like the league average is like a 59 play game. Like they actually ran no plays on offense, and the Chargers run such an up-tempo offense on the other side of that game this week that the Broncos will have to run offensive play. Like they can't run like a slow-paced offense against the Chargers.
Yep. No, I agree. Bush talking zero RB, say what?
I mean, I'm not a full zero RB guy, but I definitely buy into like hero RB and bimodal, like taking two, solidified guys and then filling out your flex pieces with upside running backs later, like Javonte Williams, for example, this year, or taking Leonard Fournette's, James Connors, or whatever to fill out your running back core and getting the rest on waivers. I definitely I'm adamantly against people who take like 3-4 straight running backs to start their draft. Like that is just they're completely screwing up.
Yeah, I know. I agree there. I typically, again, like obviously I'm more known as a zero RB guy here because I think I've probably talked about it on so many occasions. But like again, me and Bush have come around to the fact that RB fragility is a real thing. I mean, we're seeing it these past few weeks that the top scoring running backs aren't those guys that you picked in your first two rounds. It were guys like Justin Jackson, Rex Burkhead, Elijah Mitchell prior to him going out. Like there's so many guys that have been available for the cheapest cost that if you were to build out your wide receiver core, guess what? That RB2 slot, the most replaceable position, you can fill up on a week-to-week basis by streaming. So it's a fun concept to think of because, again, you have to be a lot more active than the average user, in my opinion, because you have to be scouring the waiver wire. You have to be looking at matchups. You have to be able to project forward. But if you're an experienced and knowledgeable fantasy player, I do think that going with a fragile running back approach is indeed the most optimal.
I honestly just believe that you should take the best player regardless. That's always the strategy I believed in. If you have question marks about a player at their position, then you shouldn't pick them. And that's usually the case with running backs because generally speaking, their ADP is overinflated because of the position that they play. So exactly. If you look at a running back like, whatever this year and you look at Josh Jacobs and you're like, if this guy was a wide receiver, he'd be a 6th round pick, like realistically. So that's why you don't like pick players like that. Now, Jacobs has actually kind of been good recently, but regardless, let's speed through these. The game has already started. So
Rob over Sony, Rojo felt like the right play at the time. Was the only thing that can save my season. Good luck for you, brother. Underdog lights tonight. I haven't really looked at any. I'm not sure if you have.
I haven't. No, I actually did. I showed you that I was the booster on Underdog. They had like a boosted Underdog line.
You hit it?
I didn't hit it, but I was 7 yards short of Jonathan Taylor hitting it. I had a rivals pick was Jonathan Taylor's receiving yards versus Nyheim Hines, and I hit every other bet that I had in a 5-pick parlay. But the only thing I missed was Nyheim Hines versus Jonathan Taylor's receiving yards. Jonathan Taylor had like 3 targets. All 3 went like off of his hands. And Nyheim Hines had 7 receiving yards. That's all he had. Yeah.
First of all, I wanted to talk about that. Nyheim Hines completely screwed me. Second of all, I went 3 out of 5, but the 2 I got wrong were Nyheim Hines. I don't know how he didn't have the over there. It was 16 yards. And Carson Wentz actually hit the over on his rushing yards, but his rush got called back due to a Fugazi hold. So
yeah, sure.
Pain. Let's get through these and try to rip it off. Got the 102. What players would you consider taking that pick for in the offseason? Well, again, like you'd have to be comparative. You'd have to know landing spots, but my favorite prospect in the draft.
You said where you're trying to trade that pick away. What kind of players like worth that value?
I would like again.
Would you rather have the 102 or T Higgins?
T Higgins over. Yeah, I'd rather have T Higgins over Treylon Burks. So
yeah, that's probably the value you're looking at. You're looking at like a top 12 to 14 dynasty wide receiver, top,
that's a good question though. Actually,
6 to 10. No, it is a very good question. Early first round value for T Higgins. I think he's worth that, but that's probably the end of the list. Like anybody like below him, I'd probably take the 102 over.
I could have had the T Higgins in our listener league, but I sold. I could have had the T Higgins, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase stack for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, that would be elite.
The cost, I think it was Elijah Moore in a mid-second. I couldn't give up on Elijah.
I agree with you, Crackshot. We always just forget about him.
I will say too, again, like I mentioned the blueprint I look for in running backs. Henry's the outlier because guess what? He's getting 7-8 more opportunities per game than every single.
And he's also like, if he plays, he's a lock for pretty much a touchdown per game as well too.
Well, yeah, he's basically a lock for what, 25, 30 touches if he plays.
Yeah, exactly. He was also an elite receiving back earlier in the season this year.
And Kenny, I just noticed your comment. Sorry about that. I just noticed it. Should I play Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? And I have double stacks for both quarterbacks with Adams and Gronk and Antonio Brown and Evans. But I don't know if I'm going to play him. So you got Rodgers obviously going up against the Vikings. Who the Bucks play this week? The Jets, right?
Rodgers or the Bucks?
Rodgers goes against the Vikings. Brady goes.
We have the Bucks or the Jets. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said that.
Yeah.
I would probably both Adams and Gronk and Brown. I mean, so basically you're starting all those flex options either way. You're just choosing between Brady and Rodgers. I'd go with Brady.
Yeah, I would go with Brady as well.
Yeah. No, I agree there. Yeah, sorry, I just noticed that he said we missed it by accident.
Yeah, we missed Stevens too. Sorry. I'm in a really tough decision next week who to start between Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, Higgins, and AJ Brown for my wide receiver 2 spot and my flex spot. AJ Brown plays the Dolphins next week. T Higgins, I think, plays the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. So
I'm going with the 2 wide receivers here.
I think I'm going with the 2 wide receivers as well. Michelle is really interesting for sure with Darrell Henderson getting placed on IR, but I think I would still lean with those 2 wide receivers.
Maybe Cam Akers to see some action. Who knows?
Yeah, fuck, that's insane.
That'd be exciting. But we got another member comment here from Nigel. Appreciate that. Destiny was on my side, 1 by 10, all because I dropped Madison on waivers before the Cook news just for Justin Jackson.
Damn, yeah, because didn't he said he's like, I can't believe I dropped Madison for Justin Jackson before the week, but yeah, he ended up outscoring him. Sometimes it works when you screw up.
Yep. Where do we
just joined. Kupp will go off next year. Everyone will jump the train, get hit first round, no finals again this year. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Dak goes off last night, nowhere to be found last week. Yeah, it definitely hurts. Would love to join a Dynasty League with all. Yeah, that'll probably be
some.
Yeah, we'll definitely be running some for sure. Disappointing 2 weeks for Brady. He plays the Jets next week. Hopefully he has a monster game. P.S. How about them Cowboys? Defense continues to show out. Yeah, I think Brady might have 30 fantasy points in the first 2 quarters of the game this week. I don't see any way that the Bucks don't absolutely throttle the Jets.
Hey, just like Dak had 32 in the first 2 quarters against the fucking football team.
Yeah, like this is good team versus bad team in so many different ways. Like the only way that Brady doesn't have a good game is if the running backs just siphon all like goal line work or whatever. Like I think there's going to be a long touchdown or 2 in this game for sure, especially if Mike Evans is on the field.
Yep. Another good member comment from Nigel.
Go ahead.
Stuck now with no RB2, no real flex because CH is injured and Justin Jackson probably won't start again. Uga, my number one. Yeah, I think Ugumbawale, obviously with James Robinson being out, it's hard to trust him because I mean it's fucking Dario Ugumbawale.
Is Hyde out again, or was he on COVID list last week?
I believe he was on COVID list. I'd have to take a look, but even if he is back, I mean at least Dario's shown that in the past in general, like he's been able to work his way. Like
I don't know if Hyde is back. I tend to believe that Hyde is probably the guy that they lean on.
The thing is, though, is you're not. I'm not going to know that right now. I'm assuming your waivers are going to run on Wednesday, and if that's the case, then monitor the news on Tuesday. NBC Sports Edge.
Unless I don't know if Hyde is on like IR either. To be honest, I just haven't paid attention to where Carlos Hyde is.
I just know Carlos Hyde, NBC Sports.
All right, I'm going to speed through some of these, and then we'll head out of here. Heartbreaking. I traded the 102 to make a playoff push. Got James Robinson, Cordero Patterson, 202 and 208 in return. I don't think that's a terrible return, but yeah, that the J-Rob injury definitely sucks for sure.
On injured reserve, so we're chill.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So yeah, Ogumbawale is the number 1 pickup for sure. Then,
Waddle's my number one do not draft next year.
That's interesting that you say that. I disagree because I think, like, I mean, I just saw it already. They ran a play with Jalen Waddle in the backfield. Like, they know how to use him. That's definitely was the concern for Jalen Waddle coming into the NFL is a team going to know how to deploy him? I'm not really concerned for Jalen Waddle next year. When you're performing at this high of a level in your rookie season, it generally, like, he's at a pretty high list of elite company. He's going to have 130, 140 target rookie season. And, like, the only guys that do stuff like that are, elite players. Yep. And the Dolphins just got a pick 6. There's the Dolphins defense. You love to see it. Whoever we told to start the Dolphins defense, they just got a pick 6. So,
side note too, I quickly want to say it's actually more beneficial for me personally because, again, as a Bucs fan too, I'm sure you don't want the Niners to make the playoffs as well. Like, if you had to choose, okay, it's more beneficial.
I would legitimately rather see the Niners than the Saints in the playoffs. Just with our history with the Saints, honestly, I would just rather not see them.
Fair, but I was gonna say, for like if you're against the Niners making the playoffs, it's actually more beneficial to cheer for the Dolphins today and hope that the Niners and the Saints and the Eagles are in a 3-way tie, because in that scenario, the 49ers are the one that don't make it.
True.
Whereas if it's only 2 teams tied, like say if it's the 49ers and the Eagles or the 49ers and the Saints that are tied, the 49ers would get the edge there. So the weird tiebreaker, because again, if it comes down to 3-way, but in a 3-way scenario, the Niners would be the team that misses out. That's why we were going through it today when we were doing the predictions. The Dolphins beating the Saints were the reason why the Niners would kept going out in our thing. But either way, we should be good unless there's any.
This is an interesting question. Best sell high wide receiver before free agency. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, I would say. I think he means, like, somebody who might get replaced or moved down in the depth chart type of player. I think Michael Pittman Jr. screams as a guy to me that's probably a good sell high, just because I'm not saying he's a bad receiver. I don't believe in him, but, like, I think they're going to add somebody of really high status, whether it's a first round receiver, whether it's a, Chris Godwin, Michael Gallup, even, Allen Robinson, whoever. I think they're going to make a pretty sizable addition to their wide receiving core. And Michael Pittman Jr.'s, value as of now has been being the unsolicited number 1 on his team.
Another one, Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney, I think, is a good one too.
Yep, but either way, again, it's currently 8:28. If you guys have been here these last 42 minutes, hopefully you guys enjoyed. As always, we're going to keep you updated all week. A little special video coming out for you tomorrow, I believe, right, Corey?
Pardon?
Our video, the one we did.
Yeah. So we're going to be dropping tomorrow a redraft of rookie drafts in Dynasty in the offseason. So we're going to, now that we know all the rookie seasons, this was recorded on like Thursday. So we didn't have this past week's information, but it's still nothing really changed. So we redrafted the rookie class basically in Dynasty Superflex format. For those of you guys that play Dynasty, I'm sure you'll be interested in something like that, see what changed and kind of, overview what their rookie seasons looked like. And the one guy that we picked at the 210 might even go higher now after the week he had.
Yeah, absolutely. But either way, 19 of you left in here. Peace out, y'all. Enjoy your Monday Night Football game.